Hi, John. Let me know when you can hear me.
I can hear you just fine.
There we go. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's everything going with Lent?
Yeah. So last week, bear in mind each of our services are about 2 hours long apiece.
Oh,
Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, although that one was only an hour. Monday, so those were all the ones that I sang. I took a break Monday and participated. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, two different services, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again.
oh man, that is
So
a
I go,
long
okay.
week. Whew, that's a lot to juggle. That's a lot to ask of your voice, right?
Yeah.
That your
And it's
voice is being demanded of a lot, right?
yeah.
So, how do you feel like your stamina was with that?
I during the services, yeah, like the end of that 2 hours, sure, I was feeling it. Especially because I was asked to be sing a little bit higher than I would be comfortable with.
Oh.
Because I'm still learning parts, and it's better to follow the melody right now than to try to
Mhm.
sing a completely different bass part.
Right.
Um, but I'd get home, by the time I get home, and I'd like sing some other stuff, and I felt great. Like it was fine.
Oh, that's
And in the morning,
amazing.
and then in the morning it was terrible again, but because I was
Oh,
tired. But I'd
right.
warm back up and back into it, and it was great.
Right. So you were discovering that typically you would find that range really uncomfortable, but you were going, oh, I can do that part of my voice as long as it's stretched out and warmed up and
Yeah,
flexible. Yeah. So after
and
singing in that range enough, you went, oh, I can do that.
yeah, and with decent vocal technique, it
Hmm.
it works. It's
Yes.
doable. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really fun discovery then.
yeah,
Did you feel like with having sung that much, did you feel like the next day you had any fatigue or like it was harder to do certain things?
no. Like I said, in the morning, yeah.
Mhm.
The big discovery I made though, like in the morning, the thing that really gets me is my nasal passages. They need time
Oh.
to clear out and warm up.
Mhm.
And then once those get, then I actually
Yeah.
have some resonance again. And
Mhm.
because I first thing in the morning, I try to sing a little bit the higher notes, and it's just like, what's something's blocking it. And it
Sure.
was, so I'm trying to work on a routine for the morning, especially for Sunday
Absolutely.
morning to like clear everything
Yeah.
up and
Mhm.
get
Yeah,
warmed
I
up.
can definitely relate to that. I have chronic allergies, so every morning when I wake up, I take a steamy shower, breathe in the steam, drink a bunch of water, take my allergy medicine, and sometimes I'll like neti pot and try to flush it all out. But yeah, I encounter the same kind of things where in the morning it's like, okay, got to reset the whole body and wake everything up and clear everything out, get hydrated again. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common that in the morning that your voice is probably a little more dry. It's been resting, so it's not your body hasn't been releasing fluid to those vocal folds. And so as you warm up in the morning, you get hydrated, you're going to definitely find that it takes a minute to get there, but once you're warmed up, it definitely makes it easier. So that's a really good observation. I'm glad to hear that you felt like you had pretty solid stamina, that each time you had mass that you were like, "Oh, I got this," and that you didn't feel like you were losing your voice or like straining it to the point that you felt like you couldn't sing. So I'm really excited to hear that. That's awesome. So then I'm guessing you probably didn't have a whole lot of time to be practicing a lot of the things that we had worked on together, but that's perfectly fine. You've been singing, using your instrument, and you had a lot to do. So, were you able to maybe in mass incorporate some of those ideas that we had talked about?
I'm trying to think, but I mean, yeah, I was working on paying attention when I was singing up higher to like drop my larynx a little bit and kind of uh yeah, I keep my hands like folded in front of my belly button to like cue myself for support. That helped a lot.
Nice.
Um yeah, and I did get a little bit of practice time and then like when I was at home after work for a few minutes, do some scales and things like we and going the low to high like that kind of stuff
Yeah.
to warm up and get things flexible. But by the
Right.
end of the week, no, it was just.
Just
Oh,
doing what you had to do.
the other really cool thing though too, yeah, is Saturday night I was singing up high. So our choir director is a soprano, but then the priest would come down on Saturday night because there's more, and he sings the like bass baritone parts. So I could
Mhm.
follow along with him really well. But that whole night it
Nice.
was like low then high the whole entire time.
Right. Yeah, just vocal
But
acrobatics.
yeah, but I survived. It was great. And
You made it.
yes,
That's awesome to hear. Well, I'm glad to hear that you were able to incorporate some of the things that we had done in our last session into your practice and that you're finding some of that helpful, especially with warming up the voice, getting it prepared for the mass services. That's awesome. And I can definitely relate to that feeling of vocal acrobatics where you're having to go low and high and low and high, and you're like, whew, that was a workout. But awesome. I'm really excited for you and proud of you. It sounds like it was actually a really good vocal week and that you made some
yeah.
good discoveries. You had growth as a musician and a vocalist. I love it. That's awesome. And I know that everybody else that was singing with you really appreciates you being there. You know, the more voices you have, the better in those kind of situations. So that's fantastic. All right. So then today, what would you say if you picked one thing that you're like, oh, I'd really love to work on this, or this is something that you've maybe been struggling with, or something that you've noticed in someone else's singing? What would you say would be the thing that you're like, oh, I feel like this could be a great thing to focus on today?
What I really want to focus on is like the ear training and knowing my note.
Okay.
Um and then it kind of a corollary to that is sight reading
Mm-hmm.
because we have so much music, it changes every single week.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few mainstays, but there's always something different every week. Right now there's Lent, so we have a whole different catalog of music almost, except for on Sundays,
Right.
everything during the week, it's all different.
Oh,
Things that help me learn fast and on the fly and just
yeah.
being able to, yeah.
I love that idea. Absolutely. So, how comfortable are you with where you're at in regard to reading the music on the page? Are you looking at treble clef, bass clef? Are you recognizing the notes? How comfortable are you with that component?
Um, I'm not a great sight reader. Never have been like what I do is if I have the sheet music, I sit down with my piano or guitar at home,
Yeah.
pick out the notes and sing along.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's awesome.
during yeah, I mean I can do that. Like
But
I
you
can
have to
decipher
kind of
music,
sit
but I
down and
can't.
work on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
but
more
being
of
able
the
to
picking it up quicker, being able to recognize it, just like boom, your brain connects what it is.
yeah, and building a memory too of like okay, this song starts on this pitch, and I've
Yeah.
kind of got it locked into my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely. Yes. So ear training, recognizing intervals, understanding the chord progressions, and then sight reading when you see it on the page, being able to recognize it immediately, and then be able to just sing it in the moment. And even the best sight readers make mistakes occasionally, and the trickier patterns, that you don't encounter all the time are going to be a little more challenging, but we can definitely get you to where you're a lot more quick with that, and where you're recognizing things pretty instantaneously, and like if you make a mistake, you realize it, you can correct it. So yeah, we definitely can get you there. So as we're diving in then, have you sung today?
I did a little bit of warm up within the last
Perfect.
hour. That's
Oh,
about it.
fantastic. Great. So you did some singing already. So you're ready
Mm.
to just dive right in. I love it. So before we dive into the sight reading part, I would love to work on, like you were talking about, just the pure ear training component first. So with that, we're going to play with things like intervals, with different modes, with moving to different parts of your range, to hearing and recognizing and identifying, to me playing a pattern and you singing it right back. So it's more of being a really smart musician with your ear. And a lot of other musicians don't really have to learn to use their ear the same way that a singer does. A pianist just, you press the keys, and yes, they might have a strong musical ear, but singers need that strong musical ear in a way that most other instrumentalists do not have to have it. We have to have a strong ear. And if you don't, you're gonna really struggle. So that's where we're gonna start, is really strengthening that musical ear as we begin. All right, so we're gonna start a little bit lower. Let's start on the F below middle C, and we're just gonna start with do do do, and we're gonna do each interval in a major scale first. So before we do that, let's try just singing the major scale first. So we're just gonna go on do 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 through the major scale. So it's gonna be each note all the way up, and then we'll turn around and we'll go all the way down on do do do, okay? 1, 2, here we go. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right, so that's our major scale. So I'm curious, do you guys use solfege?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
we don't train to that. No.
Sure. Great. All right. So that's just helpful to know. Sometimes people do. And so it's, if you do, then I like to put it in that kind of terminology for you. All right. So,
I do personally, but we don't train that in our church music.
okay.
I'm
Great.
not sure why, but we just don't.
You just don't. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you'll have a choral director who really, really loves it. And then you'll have other times where they're like, we don't really need it, or maybe your particular group is not as familiar with it, so it's just easier to not use it because it might be confusing to some people. So we're just gonna assume, for whatever reason, your leader has decided not to utilize that tool, and that's okay. So we are gonna play with numbers then. And this is just to help you kind of recognize where you are on your scale degrees. So we're going to do that same scale, but on the numbers this time. You're going to have 7 notes, and they're going to repeat again and again. So we're going to do 1 through 7, and then a 1 above, which is your 8. And then we'll take a breath, and we'll go 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way back down, singing. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so that's our major scale. Let's actually drop a little bit deeper. All right, so we're going to try starting here instead. All right, so we're going to try that same major scale again, starting a little bit lower. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm just playing with like where in our range we're going to be, because we want it to be kind of like a really comfortable area for you. It shouldn't be so much a big challenge vocally. It's more focusing on the intervals.
Mhm.
Let's try E flat scale, because that might be the sweet spot right there. Let's try it. So on 1, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, let's stay there on the E flat scale. All right, so now we're going to try an arpeggio, which is a pattern you're going to run into a lot. That stepwise motion where you're stepping from note to note, you're going to run into that a lot. And then the arpeggiated patterns on that 1 chord, so the triad built on the 1, is you're going to run into those a lot. So this is going to be 1, 3, 5, 3, 1 is what we're going to sing, all right? So it's in thirds. You're skipping a note in between. Breathing in. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. And now we're going to do the octave arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. Breathing in. 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. Nice, good. All right. So now we're going to play with the individual intervals in this scale. So the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and then the octave. All right, so we're going to do that on numbers. So it'll be 1, 2, 1. Then we'll do 1, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, and so forth and so on. Breathing in. 1, 2, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 4, 1. 1, 5, 1. 1, 6, 1. 1, 7, 1. 1, 1, 1. Now we're going to start at the top and move down. So 1, 7, 1. 1, 6, 1. 1, 5, 1. Try that. 1, 7, 1. 1, 6, 1. 1, 5, 1. 1, 4, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 1. Nice. All right, so then, just as an exercise, we're going to try going through on a chromatic scale where we're doing all of the halves in between. All right, so all of these are half steps. So we're just going to do on Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. All right, 1, 2, here we go. Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. Now moving down chromatically. Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. Nice, very good. All right, so now let's isolate some of those intervals and do exercises just with those, but moving those intervals to different parts of the piano. All right, so if we start down here, we're going to go 1, 2, 1. And then we're going to take a breath, and I'm going to go up a half step, and then we're going to do... Now, this is our major second. If it was a minor second, it sounds like Jaws. Da-dum. But the major second sounds a little happier. It has a little more space. It's a whole step. Yeah? All right, so we're going to try 1, 2, 1. Then I'll go up to the next place we'll start from, and you'll take a breath, and then we'll do 1, 2, 1 again. Breathing in. 1, 2, 1. Breathe. 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 1, 2, 1. Breathe.
1, 2, 1.
Breathe. 1, 2, 1. Breathe. 1, 2, 1. Breathe. 1, 2, 1. Breathe. 1, 2, 1. Good. We're going to reverse that and move down this time. So the second is we're going to do on let's not do that one just yet, actually. Let's go on to thirds. So we're going to do major thirds. We're doing the intervals in a major scale today. All right. So that's our major third. If it was minor, it would sound like. But the major is. All right, so we're going to try 1, 3, 1. Breathing in. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1. Good. All right, so now we're going to take a look at perfect fourths. So if you think of the "Here comes the bride, dun da da dun, dun dun da da," right? Da 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 da. Yeah. All right, so it's 1, 4, 1. Here comes the bride. Breathing in. 1, 4, 1. Good. Let's actually try for this one. Let's do "Here comes the bride." 1, 4, 1. And then we'll go to the next. So we're going to do both of those. Breathing in. Here comes the bride. 1, 4, 1. 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 Here
Here
comes the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for
one.
one.
Here comes
Here
the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for one.
one. Here
Here
comes the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for
one.
one.
Here comes
Here
the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for
one.
one.
Here
Here
comes the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for one.
one. Here comes
Here
the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for one.
one. Here comes
Here
the
comes the
bride,
bride,
one
one
for
for
one.
one.
Good. Let's try now on a fifth. If you think of like the oh, we, oh, that's a fifth, yeah? So why don't we try on the oh, we, 5, 1. Here we go. Oh, we,
Oh,
5, 1. Oh, we,
oh,
5, 1. Oh, we, 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 5, 1. Good. Awesome. All right. So let's stop there with intervals today. We didn't do the sixth, the seventh, or the octave, but we can always do those next time. I want to go ahead and go on to, I'm going to play a pattern and I want you to sing it back to me. So I'm going to move to different parts of the range and I'm going to start with 3-note patterns and you just try to sing whatever I play back so I can hear you. All right. So first let's try. Yeah, good. All right, let's try another. It might be a little bit high, so let's do the same pattern but a little bit lower.
That's not right.
So close, and that definitely sounds like it feels more comfortable. The other I think was a little high, so I think you had it, but you just were kind of reaching for it. Try that again. Perfect. Yes, exactly. So the first time in this range, you went up and back to the same note instead of stepping down to the one below. But then the next time you tried it, it was perfect. Spot on. All right, let's try another. Yes, good. Let's try another. Let's try that one again. That was it. Yes, exactly. So your first instinct, what that was a fifth up, and then a stepping down to the fourth. And you wanted to skip down to the third, which totally makes sense because we like it when it's on the chord, right? So we like that feeling of like I'm right on that major chord. So that's what you wanted to do. But then the next time, perfect. All right, let's try another. It's a little bit higher.
Oh,
So I'm going to do the same interval, but a little lower.
oh.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you just have kind of a point where you're like, I'm not gonna. Your voice is like, I don't want to go past that, and that's okay. So I know that now. In the exercises, you were blazing through there, but in the singing back versions, you're kind of like your voice is like, I don't want to change registers, and that's okay. Now we know it. So we're
So,
just kind of. I'll make a mental note of that, and we'll keep working on that. Let's try another one.
well, okay.
Yeah.
As I said, like, no, maybe not now, but let's
Sure.
work on that because
Oh yeah, for
uh,
sure.
I've I've got a lot of our our bass parts are, they're straddling oftentimes that like G to A right below middle C. And there
Mm-hmm.
might be like a couple notes here and there, like a B flat that I need to reach. And
Yeah.
usually, yeah, I recognize that. That's like when I'm trying to reach a little bit to the
Yeah.
next register, I'm a little flat usually or something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so that's something I'm noticing. So I'm like, I'm gonna add that to my notes of something that we're gonna want to work with more. Because I do keep notes on all my students so that I know. Um so like that's one of the things that I was like, I need to write that down, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the note now. And that way I know for next time I can kind of plan with that, and I might even incorporate some stuff where we have to work on that in today's session, like moving forward. But in the exercises we were doing, you were having no problem going there, so that's why I'm like, oh, okay, interesting with these singing back ones. Like when we're inching up, you were like, oh, sure. But then when I just throw something at you and you have to just spontaneously do it, you're like a little bit flat. So I'm like, I think you've got it. You just vocally are a little flat. So that's why I'm like, let's try the same pattern again. And if you haven't noticed, I'm doing a lot of the same kind of intervals that we were working on just now in our singing. So if you didn't catch that. All right, so let's try a couple more. I'm going to start giving you some 4-note patterns.
can I hear that again?
Yeah?
Uh,
One more time.
yeah.
Really close. So I'm going to give you a little hint. The Addams family.
The hint isn't registering, but
Oh!
uh,
So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's just like the da 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 da
okay.
da. Yep. So you'll start to recognize patterns in music that come again and again. And so that was one that you were like, it's not landing. And that's okay. I sometimes will be like, that sounds like something, but I can't pinpoint it. But it's because you'll start to see common patterns all the time in music. You'll be like, oh, that sounds like this from that song. And that sounds like this from this classical piece. And that sounds like this from that jazz tune, right? You'll start picking them out. So great. Let's try a couple more.
Uh,
Yes, very good. Let's try another.
uh,
If you you didn't notice, I gave you a longer one that time.
Yeah.
Close.
Or
You almost had it. One more time. You had all of that. Yes. Yeah, you got the first half every time. So it was just that second half where I think you got off on one note and then it was like all the others sort of followed in succession. Good. All right, awesome. So very good on that. Let's try now. I'm going to go over to some sight reading now. And one thing that I want you to try to do is instead of trying to read everything on the page, like what the notes are, I want you to be recognizing how the notes relate to each other. How do these interact with one another? I'm going to put a link into the chat of a PDF that I want you to go ahead and save on your computer. Sorry, it's being a little slow with that. Come on. Zoom did a funny thing. I don't know why it's doing that. It took me to like a different window, so it's Zoom is being ornery. Alrighty, it's back to normal. Why is it doing that? And now my mouse is huge. Ugh, my computer's just having a moment. Give me 1 second, because it's being ornery. All right, because I'm like trying to put it into the chat and like screen share, and it's just, I don't know, Zoom just acted crazy for a second. It was like, let me open this whole other bubble. So maybe I just hit the wrong thing is what I'm thinking. All right, so this is a PDF that you can download and keep for yourself. All right, so I'm also going to go over to where we can see it. Now, you can see that they're doing solfege. If you wanted, you could like write in for yourself. The do is 1, the re is 2, the mi is mi is 3, fa is 4, sol is 5, la is 6, ti is 7, and the do is 1 again. So just think of those as kind of like counting in another language is what you can think of that as. And so they give you some beginning starter exercises. So it says read and echo the exercises. So if you wanted to, you could try to sight sing it and then try like playing it for yourself and then try singing it back after you play it. And they have a lot of good like explanations as well. One thing I really like is they're going to start us where the C is always do. And we're in C. So it's, I don't know if you've heard of like movable do and fixed do, but in fixed do, C is always the do. And I really like that when you're working on modes. But in Western music, I usually do movable do. But I like that they start you with C as do and all of these starter exercises, and then they don't change that till later on. So you'll start reading in other keys after you get really, really solid in C. So when you look at it, yeah.
I was gonna say, so our music, uh, most of it, at least 90% of it, is in the key of F.
Okay. So that is so interesting. 90%. My goodness. Clearly
That's like
your
an estimate off the top
really
of my
likes
head.
F.
I would,
That's
yeah, I
amazing.
would probably send you, the big thing is the
Yeah.
tones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there's just a set of melodies and choir parts that are set to this melody.
Yeah.
Each week we rotate through. There's a few different versions of them
Okay.
for different parts of the liturgy, but they're all in the key of F.
Wow.
Most of them start on F, G, or C.
Okay.
Um, but I'll
That's good
send
to
that to
know.
you, and
Yeah,
then
if
you can
you maybe
maybe
want to start sending me like, hey, this is some of the music that we have for the upcoming week, then we could also work on the pieces that are coming up for you in the session as well. which I think would be
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, that's awesome. But you can also be working through sight reading yourself. I like to start with, so what we're looking at here, and you're going to be able to use these principles no matter what you're looking at in sight reading. You want to be watching for, is this a repeated note where it's the same? Is it stepping up or down? So if it's stepping, I'm going line to space to line to space to line to space to line, right? That would be stepping motion. Is it a skip? If I'm skipping, it's going to go line to line to line or space to space to space. That's a third, right? So I'm watching how the moving notes relate to one another. Is it a step? Is it a repeat? Is it a skip? And then is it a leap that's bigger than that? Before I even start singing, I look through the piece and identify what it is I'm looking at. So I've got here, I'm looking at treble clef, 4/4 time, which is our common time. So 4 beats per measure. You're comfortable with like quarter notes, half notes, whole notes,
Yeah. Yeah.
rhythms? Okay, great. So if I look through, I've got quarter notes, I've got a half note, I've got a quarter rest, more half notes, I've got a half rest at the end. So I'm just looking for anything that kind of stands out as extra tricky. I don't have any dotted rhythms. That's nice. I do have repeated notes and I have stepwise motion. I do not have any skips in here. It's all repeats and steps. And if I look through, I only have 3 notes, C, D, and E as well. So I'm only going to be singing 1, 2, and 3. Now, do you feel more comfortable with do, re, mi, fa, so, or do you feel more comfortable with numbers? Which would make more sense to your brain?
For me, because I've practiced it on my own, the do re mi.
Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and do the solfege then. All right, so here's the thing too. You can, if you're looking strictly at patterns and how they relate to each other and not reading the notes on the page, it doesn't really matter what note it starts on. It doesn't really matter what key it's in. You're looking at how do these notes relate to one another, right? How do they interact with each other? So if you know that, you're pretty much golden. So we're going to be starting, this is going to be our do. Do. We only have do, re, and mi here. So we're going to go through, and the first thing I like to do is clap and count my rhythm. So I make sure that's solid before I even mess with the melody. So I'm going to first go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, hold. 3, hold. 1, hold, rest, rest. So I make sure I've got that rhythm figured out before I conquer the melody. And sometimes I take the pressure off myself and I say, I'm just going to do melody and not worry about rhythm. And then I'm going to try to put melody with rhythm afterwards. All right. But I'm going to see how we do if we put them together. All right. So here's our do. Do. That's where we're going to start. All right. So 1, 2, here we go. Do, do, re, re, mi, re, mi, re, re, mi, re, do, re, do, re, re, do, rest, rest. And then we check, are we where we started? All right, we did pretty darn good. Yes, awesome. Okay, so then let's go ahead and try the next one. And, you know, if you're like quite certain you fell off the rails, you can take some time and work through. You can write in your solfege for yourself. You can circle tricky spots, work on certain intervals, and try it again. But we nailed it, so we're good to go on to the next one. All right, so let's try this next one. If we look through, we have that big funky C with a dot. That just means common time, which is 4/4 time. So then we're starting on the C, which we're told is our do. We have the same kind of rhythms we had last time, half notes, quarter notes, and we have a half rest at the end. We have a lot of stepwise motion at the beginning, and then we have a repeat into measure 3, stepwise motion down, stepwise motion up, some repeats in the second to last measure, and then we step down and end on our mi. All right, so just kind of looking through, assessing before you even start. All right, and we're going to see how we do with this one. So that's our do. That's where we'll begin. 1, 2, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, fa, mi. All right, I noticed when we were holding on the fa, you wanted to go a little bit sharp, but then you corrected, which is awesome. So good job on that. All right, so ending on the mi is a little bit funky, a little different. And as you go through these exercises on your own, you're going to notice they progressively get more challenging. They'll start adding more tricky things into them as you go. So you're going to start having different keys. You're going to have tricky intervals like jumping a sixth. So things like that will start popping up and you'll be like, oh, what's that? And then eventually maybe accidentals start popping up. You're like, that note's not in the key. Why is that here? Right? So we're going to go ahead and try number 3. Now this one you see does not start on the do. We're starting on the E, which is the mi. So we're going to step down until we get to the C, and that repeats. We step up, and then you've got a half rest. You're going to be stepping up, up, up. And then repeat, repeat, repeat. We're ending on the so. So that's really interesting that we start on mi and we end on so. So you really have to stick to, that anchor of this is my do and know where that is. So this is our do. This is where we're starting. So I always like to make sure my head's in that key. So before I even start, I like to give myself the do and go like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, mi, so, do, mi. I like to know that I am really in that key. It's solid in my body. It's solid in my mind. Solid in my ear, right? And for rhythm, I usually will tap somewhere in my body to help me to keep track of where I am in the rhythm as well. All right, so let's try this one starting on the mi, do, mi. That's where we're starting. 1, 2, here we go. Mi, re, do, re. Rest, rest. Mi, fa, sol, 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 sol. Rest. Yes, good. And then I like to check and go, did we go sharp? Did we go flat? Oh, we're right on it. So awesome work there. Okay. All right. So the next one, as we see, is going to start on the mi again, but this time it'll end on our do. We also have more rests through here. We still have repeated notes and stepwise movement. No skips just yet. All right, so we're going to try number 4. Here's our do. Here's our mi. Do, mi. 1, 2, here we go. Mi, mi, fa, fa. So, fa, rest, fa, mi, re, do, re, rest, rest, do, rest, rest. And then we check our final note. I think you went just a little flat on the do. Did you feel that?
I didn't really catch it.
That's okay. You weren't on a totally different note. It was just a little flat. So
Okay.
to me, that's not like incorrect. It's just like a little flat, So it's just a teensy bit flat. It's like, your guitar it went slightly out of tune, so you have to, tweak it a little bit. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next one we're starting on our so. All right. So, we're going to start on the 5, and it looks like we're ending on our mi. So that's interesting. That's our do. Still working on the same kind of patterns here, but this time we're starting higher, ending up lower. We've got more rests throughout again. We're starting there on that so. So, do, mi, so. Always make sure you know where that do is to start. All right, starting on the so. 1, 2, number 5. Here we go. So, rest. So, rest. Fa, mi, re, mi, rest. Fa, mi, re, mi, rest, rest. Yeah, that ending kind of catches us on guard. It's off guard. It's like, it feels like it wants to keep going, right? But it's the end, so it's like, surprise! So it tricks us. The next one has a lot of rests. So keeping track of where you are is going to be a big challenge in this one. We are starting on the C and ending on the C. So our do. But sometimes when we have the rest, it's hard to find the next one. I feel like a lot of the time when it's right next to it, it's easier to find. But when you put a rest between, it's harder. So we're going to do our best here. Starting on that do. 1, 2, here we go. Do, re, mi, rest, rest, fa, rest, so, rest, so, fa, mi, rest, re, rest, re, rest, do, rest, rest. Yes, so after that mi, we have 3 rests there. We've got a quarter plus 2 with that half rest. So that's 3 beats there. So let's go ahead and try that one again. Same exercise again. 1, 2, here we go. Do, re, mi, rest, rest, rest. Fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, rest, rest. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to see what we can find a little later on. This can be a little bit more of a challenge, or that's maybe in a different key. Let's see. And I might have to go to a different PDF. So that's a good one to continue working through on your own this week. All right. Okay. Here's one. I'm gonna zoom in on this guy. Alrighty, so what's cool about this one is you can sing it in whichever octave you like. Alrighty, can you see it? I'm gonna move you over. Oh, is it still loading? Let's see. Can you see it now?
No, I see it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. I moved you over to the other side. All right. So we are looking at both treble clef and bass clef. So it's just the different octaves, but it's the same exercise. Now this one does go a pretty wide range here. We're in the key of F. We're starting on the mi, ending on the do, and you go all the way down to so and all the way up to so at some point. So you get to pick which octave. All right. So we need to kind of get centered in our new key. getting our ears set in F now. Me, and you can start on me or me, whichever one's comfy for you.
Did you do something different with your piano audio?
Did the audio change for you?
It got like really loud and kind of
Oh,
distorted.
okay, I'll turn it down. That's funny. Moose, Mustafa sometimes is like, "Oh, the piano's really loud. Can you turn it down?" So he sometimes says the same thing. All right. Whereas Lori's always like, "Can I hear more piano?" So it varies for everyone. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and try. We're gonna try that again. Starting on the me.
Now it's too quiet.
Ah, okay. We'll find the sweet spot. Is that better?
Better.
How about here?
Getting there.
Okay.
I think that'll work.
Awesome.
It was like loud and like
Really
clipping the
loud.
audio. Like something got was weird. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got it. All right, so starting on the me. So you're going to pick one of those and we're going to try going through. Now, if you look at this, you see we've got eighth notes as well. So those are going to be twice as fast. So we want to start a little bit slower to help with that. Yeah, so do, do, me. That's where we're going to start. Yeah. All right. So 1 and 2, and here we go. Mi, re, do, so, do, mi, re, so. Let's just do that much for now, because I realized I was like, that's all tricky. It's definitely trickier than what we have done already today. So
Yeah.
we're gonna break that down, just the first two measures first. So that do, so, do. Try just that pattern. Do, so, do. Yeah, whenever I have leaps, I always like to identify those and work on those for a second. And then when we have kind of a tricky one where we have the re, so, or re, so, whichever octave feels comfy. So it's going to try to find that re, so, re, so.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and sing it.
Re, so.
Try it again. Re, so.
Re, so.
So start a little bit lower. Re, so. They're both a little bit lower than you're thinking. Re, so.
Re, so.
Yeah, that was it. You got it. Yes. If we do the octave higher, it'll be kind of in that range where you're like, yeah, sometimes I gotta sing that high. It'll be on re, so. Try that.
That's high.
Yeah. This key and this exercise, I was like, oh, it's a big range, and it's kind of taking you like either to the low of your range or to the high of your range. And so it's like you have to kind of pick one or the other. So try just on la
La la.
Beautiful. Yes. Good. So, and then you're going to jump from the so down the octave. So try on la.
La.
La. You're actually going a little high. La.
I'm trying to find it in my head.
Oh, it's
first.
okay. Try the re, because you got that. Try it the la.
La la
Yes. Now try la la la
la la. Hmm. La
la.
la
That's a
la.
little high.
Yeah. La
La. So we're going la la.
la. Hmm.
It's okay. Try again.
La
La.
la.
Right now you're doing a beautiful harmony that is higher than where I'm at. You're um so la. Try that one again.
La.
Oh, you went up to the so. So I'm having you do on the re. So la la. Try that again.
La
That's the
la.
high one. You started on the high one. You started on the la on the so. That's where you started. You started on the higher one. So you're asking yourself to go higher than you have to. Which is funny because you were like, oh, that's high. And now you're actually going even higher. So you got it. All right. So try, since you did find the so, try the so, so, so. The octave jump.
So, so, so.
Yep. That was the note. So,
That was
so. So find the note and then sing it an octave lower as well.
so, so.
Try in the lower octave. Try on so, so. That's the
So.
low one. So you found the low one. So go so, so.
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 That's all right. It's a really big range. And so before I was having you do exercises where we stayed within 5 notes of each other. And now we've expanded the distance that we're practicing in. So it is tricky, especially since we changed keys. So now our ear is trying to hear a new key as well. So the pattern we need to conquer there is or. Oops. So it's re so so.
Re, so.
You got it. That was it. Yes. Yes. That is a
Thank you.
tricky pattern right there. And I mean, that's not one that you see all the time either. So it's a tricky one. So yes, so this was definitely our challenge exercise of the day. So what I would love for you to do in future lessons, go ahead and send me the music that you have coming up for the next week, because we can work through that as well. But each time I want to do a little bit of ear training as well as some sight singing each time. I do think it's helpful to kind of build up your sight singing skills. So start with that PDF packet I gave you, because that's going to be a little bit simpler to start. And then I can give you more and more complex exercises as we continue. Oh, I don't need to share anymore. You can look at me instead. So I want you to send me the following Sunday's music, and then also, and if you forget or whatever, you can always just like send it through the Zoom chat or whatnot. And then we'll do a little bit of ear training, a little bit of sight singing each time, and then we can work a little bit on your music. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And that way you can be hearing too, like I can play multiple parts at the same time. So you can hear your harmony with other parts. I can even sing other parts while you sing your harmony. So yeah, I think that'll be a really good thing to add in. Nice work. Awesome. Alrighty. So we're going to wrap up there for today, unless you have any questions about like how you're going to practice this week, or clarification on anything?
No, that gives me some good ideas.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think we kind of these exercises pinpoint what my problem is with singing bass right now because it's
Yeah.
all fourths, fifths. There's big jumps.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So we
yeah.
got to get good at those.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Did you want to meet same time next week, or do you want to look at your calendar and figure out what'll work best?
Um,
Because I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't know."
yeah. I so yeah, thinking this through, I'm gonna yeah, I gotta put the cards on the table here.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, I like kind of double booked. Like I had you and another teacher I was doing trial lessons with.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of working with another teacher a
Sure.
little bit, and I don't want to ping pong back and forth because that's going to be really difficult. But I've already signed up for 3 lessons with him,
Okay.
and then I think I'm going to do 3 or 4 with you after that,
Okay.
and then we'll see where things go from there.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, that you're
Okay.
like, okay, I kind of want to like focus on one thing at a time. That is perfectly
Yeah.
fine. 100%. No problem at all.
You
I
guys are
get
both
that.
doing a lot of the same stuff with the
Oh,
warm-ups
nice.
and um I haven't gotten through this kind of a lesson with him yet, but we'll see. You guys just have different types of cues and tips, and I want to see what works best.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
that actually is something that that I love, that really we're all kind of working towards the same goals, but people just say it a little bit differently, or maybe we come from different like pedagogical schools of thought. And so sometimes it really is nice to like go do a workshop or do a summer program, or like even if you have a teacher you work with, usually like I find it can be really helpful sometimes to work with someone else, because you'll hear it a little bit differently and something clicks in your brain and you go, "Oh, that's what my teacher was trying to tell me." And like I think it can actually be a really positive experience to work with multiple people, because like I said, ultimately we're all working towards the same goals. So I hope
yeah,
that your lessons go really well with him. And yeah, if you just want to get back in touch, like in a few weeks, like a month or something, and we'll figure out what to do from there. Okay?
yeah. I've got 3 more lessons with him. I'm probably
Sure.
gonna get those done during Lent, so we've got 6 more weeks, and then I'll touch base with me, see where I'm at. Maybe things will feel
Absolutely.
different after another couple lessons, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I really like you both. Like it's really hard to like pick, or
Oh,
maybe I need both of you. That could be the thing too.
maybe.
So let's
Yeah, you
see.
could like, yeah, I know you were saying like ping ponging back and forth, but sometimes like, because I'll have like a pedagogue that I work with, and then I'll also do a voice coach that I'll work with as well, because the focus is slightly different. So one's more like performance technique, and maybe I'm working with someone on diction, like, so, and then I'll have like my voice pedagogue who's like teaching me what I should be feeling and like how to breathe, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you just go, this is what I need right now, and this person can help me with this, that person can help me with that, and so that sounds great. So I'll just reach back out to you then, and like in a little bit, like maybe around Easter, and we'll truck along from there. So
yeah.
happy
Perfect.
practicing. I hope that the Lent season goes well. And let me know if you get like stuck on anything, or you need more sight singing exercises or whatnot, because I can always send you some more stuff to be working on in the meantime. Okay?
Sure.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
I also sent you because I was supposed to send you some recordings.
Oh, yeah.
I wound up recording a bunch of other stuff, just me singing with
Okay.
my guitar.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but if you're
I'll check
bored
those
and just want
out.
some entertainment
No,
and
that's
give
awesome.
me feedback whenever,
Absolutely. I'll check it out. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sending those. I'll let you know. I'll take a listen, and I'll send you some tips and feedback, okay?
sure.
Awesome. Great work today, John.
Thanks. Thanks, Vandy.
Alrighty. I'll see you in time will fly. So I'll
Yeah.
see you soon.
Yep.
Bye, John.